Good evening, YouTube. Good evening, everyone. And I'd like to welcome my guests, who are PingeMusic. Say hello, Pinge.
Hello, hello.
And Ujames1978. Say hello, James.
Hello there, this is James Escroft, Ujames1978. Well, that's my contractual obligation for the week.
The number of times.
Yes, I know. Sometimes I do actually mess up once in a blue moon, but anyway.
And we have, for the first time ever, we have Dee. Dee, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us, I don't know, a random fact about yourself, something like that.
Great, no pressure there. Hello, my name's Dee. Random fact is my name's not really Dee.
Oh, okay.
Not that you're a private and secluded person or anything.
Sorry.
Known on YouTube as Dee Demon Witch.
Yeah.
It's Dee Deedle now. Not that I make videos.
Right.
Oh, come on! Couldn't it be Diddly Dee?
Diddly Dee.
And,
Aww.
yes, am I right in thinking that we are also joined by Gunderson?
Hi.
Aha. Right, okay, so as people out there probably know, Miley Cyrus has managed to offend again, and not just by her dancing or singing, but basically made, what is the basic? I'll open the article and quote her verbatim. You know, everyone's a little bit gay. It's the truth. Everyone's gay. All it takes is one cocktail, and if that doesn't work, sprinkle something in their drink. That's what I always do. Article linked in the description, and I will say there is the top video is pretty good, worthwhile, makes a good point, but should also really have a trigger warning. Now, what am I going to say about this? I'm not even going to go into rape culture. I'm going to say she felt entitled to make that joke because she's a woman, and there would be 10 times more fuss if she were a man and made that joke, or any joke to the effect of I commit date rape, ha ha ha. And yes, obviously the idea that where she doesn't seem to understand anything LGBTQ. Where to begin listing the things that she's done wrong there. But I'd say the worst is probably this, I don't know what that would be, a bisexual rape of straight people. Right. Well, I'm going to go in the order of people as I can see them, which means we begin with you, Pinge.
Okay. First of all, I'm like so puzzled this. Why in the flying whatever do you do a rape joke at all? It's like, it's not fun. It's not even, how can you even try to do a fun thing with rape? So, and everything there is for me, like, it doesn't matter if you talk about gay, straight, whatever. Rape isn't funny, so why try to do a rape joke? It's all over, it's over my head. Short, but I can say no more about it. It's like, oh.
Aha. Okay, Dee, your take on this?
Oh yeah, when you're saying going back to not only it's not only if she possibly gotten away with it because she's a woman, if she had been a rapper, a male rapper, because there are female rappers, so if she'd have been a male rapper, I think the headlines would have been very, very
And black.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
More so than any other, because it's not just an issue of sexism. It's an issue of what surrounds certain certain attitudes towards certain genres of music. So yeah, if it had been a black male rapper, I think we'd been hearing a very different story in the media. Sorry.
Yeah, and Gunderson?
I think it's problematic in so many ways. I mean, one, because it's basically equating homosexuality with, same-gender rape. And also, the fact that that's also considered, which is considered funny a lot of the time. And I'm sure I had something else to say. I will say I don't think all rape jokes are necessarily bad, but I think it depends on the intention and who you're telling it to. So you don't say it to a fucking someone you know is a survivor of rape without any warning. And also, if it's not actively at the expense of the victim, I wouldn't say it's necessarily problematic, though. But yeah, it's a fucking horrible thing to say. It's just fucked up in so many ways. I can't really think of anything else to say other than that.
Also, she's implying that she's bi. It's not exactly great for bisexuals who get who have our own problems anyway. To kind of suggest that a bisexual is somebody who, or anyone who sleeps with both sexes, we'll say go with bisexual as the label there, is some ravenous beast that can't help themselves, which is one of the stereotypes. If it's got legs, I'll fuck it. And James,
wait. And the thing is, it's also on top of aside from the rape remark, it's also buying into the old bullshit that sexuality, the Kinsey scale, whatever it's called.
Yes, Kinsey.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The idea. Go ahead.
I think it's kind of saying that. Well, I mean, insisting that anyone, when someone tells you that they're only attracted to one gender or whatever, then they probably mean it. Yeah, they probably know better than you. So, I mean, saying, oh, everybody's a little bit gay or straight or whatever is just, fuck off.
Yes, one of my favourite memes on the internet regarding this. You're obviously defining your sexual orientation incorrectly. Here, let me do it for you.
Yeah. And I would add to that the sort of, because you can make a joke about everybody. What's the difference between a heterosexual and a bisexual? 5 pints. I've heard that joke. Nothing wrong with that joke. That doesn't actually offend me. She didn't need to take it where she took it. Also, that would be more obviously just a joke. She's actually said that she sprinkles things in people's drinks too.
Yeah, the implication of that is that
Yes. So, your thoughts, James?
Yes, going back to what Dee said about how if this was a black gangster rapper, it is another example regarding rape and sexuality in general, that it's not what you say as much as who you are. The fact that she is a woman, the fact that she is bisexual, and obviously lesbian rape isn't a problem. It's when men rape women. Oh God, that's the. Oh, but no. Yes, it's not rape if she's drunk. It's not rape if. This is the whole going on a divergent note. The whole teach men not to rape. The attitude of people. Well, you can't. No. The rapists rape. Teaching us not to rape is stupid. Well. You did kind of coerce your girlfriend. Oh, no, that's not rape because she's my girlfriend. It's not rape because we have a pre-existing relationship. It's not rape unless she fights back. It's not rape if. It's not rape if. It's not rape if. People have a set idea of rape in their minds of a masked man, usually black, Hispanic, or Asian, Muslim, wearing the full ski mask, at night, leaping out upon a woman from the bushes. Anything, and preferably, usually beating her or threatening her with some kind of weapon. This is why rapists, the conviction rate for rape is so incredibly low, unless it matches those circumstances. This is why so many rapes throughout the world are immediately dismissed as unfounded if they don't fit that criteria. Oh, well, a husband can't rape his wife. It's her marital duty. It was the law here in Britain until 1969, and it is the law still in many parts of the world. And even in those countries where it's not the law, it's still the assumption. So this getting back to Miley Cyrus specifically, first of all, everyone's a little bit bisexual. No, they are not. There is just no other way to say it. I've mentioned this in previous podcasts that would you go back in time and kill Adolf Hitler? No, I'd go back in time and kill Kinsey. But again, he didn't create the idea of sexuality being correlating directly with gender. So lesbians are attracted to women because they're more masculine. Gay men are attracted to men because they're more feminine, and bisexuals are in the middle. And fuck off. No, he simply articulated the assumptions and the bigotries which still exist. And yes, this idea that it's only a joke. What Gunderson said about the intent of the joke. If you are making fun of the rapist or mocking and ridiculing the rapist, absolutely. If you are mocking,
not even necessarily that.
But just to create the contrast. And
right.
if you are pointing to the absurdity of a situation, making it clear, it's a fictional scenario in which there is no trauma involved. That is another. But then, if you are mocking and ridiculing the rape victim, go and fuck yourself in the face with a chainsaw.
I mean, yeah, I think. I have heard it is the intent behind it. What also concerns me, because I mean there is a comedian who does do a joke about rape. I forget his name, but it is quite funny because
Jimmy Carr.
No, it's an American guy, oldish
Rich
chap.
Hall.
No, older. I keep thinking I had his name in my head a moment ago. It's completely
George
gone.
Carlin.
Anyway, George Carlin, that's the one. He does quite, he's. The way he does it, I can't actually think offhand how he does it, but the way he does it is quite amusing. It's quite clever. But what concerns me here is that, but he knows his audience. His audience are, I would say, generally speaking, reasonably intelligent adults. What concerns me here is who is Miley Cyrus's audience.
Very stupid kids.
Yeah, that's concerning because, I mean, if she said that joke privately amongst her friends who knew she was just having a laugh, it's not,
I still think it's problematic.
It's still problematic, but it's a private thing, it is the kind of thing one could say off the cuff just for the lols type of thing in a certain, what I mean. But to be saying it publicly, knowing who her audience is, I think is extremely irresponsible.
Again, if we do like a rape joke that we talk about here, you cannot do it in a whim, like blah 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 blah. You have to think it through. You have to think the consequences of the joke. You have to understand that the audience, the people that are going to listen, and so on and so forth. Then you can actually make a joke about everything. But this thing with Miley Cyrus was like, I don't think at all. I say it.
I agree. I mean, what I was really saying was, as long as it's not actively at the expense of the victim, real or fictional, then it's not necessarily problematic. Or in fact, it probably isn't problematic, even if it's not at the expense of the rapist necessarily.
again, just fans. If young female fans in particular, if you want to meet me, that's okay. If I fancy you, I'll put something in your drink and rape you. Again, if a man said that is like,
I'm just that I mean, or if it's there's there's another thing. Also, if it contained like myths or bigoted assumptions or loaded assumptions about what rape is, then
yes.
that's the other kind that doesn't sit well with me. So like this, for instance, this one.
And sexuality as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say a couple of things there. For one, I mean, yes, I mean, she was a Mouseketeer. So the original outrage regarding Miley Cyrus was all the twerking and everything, and the way she dresses, because she had a Disney audience who have grown up with her. But really, that Disney audience who have grown up with her, kind of bad modelling there. But also, especially as we've discussed in the past, a lot of kids aren't really taught about consent properly, if at all. Another thing, one of the reasons that I don't like, basically I'm one of those not all men people that have been sort of under attack by certain so-called feminists recently. And when you say something, when you phrase it as don't teach women not to be raped, teach men not to rape, or men need to be taught this, men need to be taught that, there are two types of rape victim, male rape victims and the victims of lesbian rape, that those so-called feminists are pissing on from a great height and throwing under a bus. Great job, feminists, pissing on rape victims.
I would not agree with that, Alex. I've made videos on this subject before. Although rape is rape, there is no question about that. I am not saying, of course, all rapes are bad, but it is simply the fact that the overwhelming majority of rapes, more than 90%, no matter which statistics you look at, are committed by men against women. Yes, the fact that male victims of rape, transsexual victims of rape, and female victims who were attacked by other women are still ignored by society. This isn't a question of feminists throwing certain groups under the bus. This is dealing with the larger pile of shit before moving on to the smaller but equally stinky and grotesque piles of shit, which still need to be dealt with. This is as I say, the almost universal perception of rape. If you say the word rape, the fact that the image that appears in people's minds is a masked ethnic minority man leaping out of the bushes and attacking a woman in the dead of night in a park or some other public place while she's walking to her car. That hurts everyone. Female victims of date rape, victims of female-on-female rape, male victims of rape. We can only break down that issue one at a time.
But if you alienate people like me, then you're failing to get your message across. When those feminists could easily phrase it in an ambiguous way.
But again, if you phrase it in an ambiguous way, how do you get the impact? It is again It is a whole question of perception. The fact, again, this is a divergence, excuse me, but the point I was making before, it's not what you say necessarily, it's who you are. The fact that feminists are telling men not to rape pisses us off.
which just makes them look like misandrous.
No, but
big
that's the thing. The assumption that what is 99% of the human population's immediate thought, immediate image, which appears in their minds when they hear the word feminist, hairy-legged, man-hating lesbian.
Okay, I'm going to let Gunderson chirp in at this point.
I'm going to say that in response to things both of you have said, one, regarding the whole how much of rape is male on female, the thing is, I wouldn't say that with such certainty, because the thing is, even male on female rape is underreported, so just imagine how underreported other forms of rape are. That's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I could imagine males being raped by another male, or by a female. Is going to find it far more. I know this may sound crazy, but I wonder myself sometimes, if I were raped, would I have the mental fortitude to not only to report it to the police, but to take it through court and go through it all again in the court situation? And I'm not some mild, meek little girlie.
Yes,
do you know what I'm saying? So I can see where Gunderson's coming from on that.
Absolutely. Unreported rapes are a major issue, which again comes down to society's attitude that if it doesn't fit our image, our definition of rape exactly, then women are effectively wasting their time, putting themselves through severe emotional and psychological trauma of reporting it to the police, of going through the entire court process, when there is such a when there is such a minuscule chance of actually securing a conviction. But the problem, though, Gunderson, with your point about unreported rapes, we can't begin. As much as we might want to, we can't allow ourselves to be dragged down the road of what if. Yes.
I'm just saying it's something we need to keep in mind.
Oh, yes, but for example, I constantly point out the fact that never mind the fact that I pointed out. The fact is that the rates of rape in Japan are 23 times lower than the rates of rape in the USA, to which the common, when you take population size into account, to which the common response is, what about the unreported rape? What about the unreported rapes? To which, again, the rates of unreported rape are 60% in the United States. Almost for every one rape that is reported, 2 go unreported. And even then, out of those, so many are declared to be unfounded, what the MRAs call false rape allegations, because of the reasons I went through earlier. And then again, the whole MRA, oh yes, the entire justice system is biased in favour of women, so that men are thrown into prison based on nothing but the woman's accusation. Fuck off!
Then why are the conviction rates so low?
Exactly.
Because we're all making it up. But I do, taking on what Gunderson was saying to some extent, is how serious, if a man's raped by a woman, how serious is it taken? But that's, it's because if people might say, well, if he wasn't sexually stimulated, why did he get an erection? Well, because men get
actually.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Oh.
Go on.
Men, if you can, the fact that he got sexually, got an erection still doesn't mean it wasn't rape.
Yeah. Why not say? The woman was wet. I think we did used to say the woman was wet, so it wasn't. And also, how do they think farmers extract semen from male animals?
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex, is there something you want to say?
I was going to say it's probably time for closing thoughts.
I want to finish. I want to say what I was going to say to Alex.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did have 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also say that just because they're saying kind of agreeing with what James said. Just because they're saying we need to teach men not to rape, I don't think that's necessarily throwing the other victims of rape under the bus. But granted, I think they could be a bit more clear in what they're saying. And yes, we do need to teach everyone about consent.
Yes, this is a conversation I had with Aaron, the Bad Cop 69 on YouTube. I can't remember his new channel name, but the teach men not to rape placards. Well, if they're not being misandric, etc., 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 well, why don't they say that as well? It's a placard.
You can't
put. What do we want? Fair and equal treatment for all rape victims, including the victims of lesbian rape. And yes, this includes so-called date rape, because what she would.
Yeah.
Can you send me the book? Thanks.
Yeah, it does have to be a sound bite, doesn't it?
I could come up with loads of better ways, and I've seen better ways of phrasing it. And but I think my point that if you alienate people, it's part of feminism being an echo, or a lot of feminism being an echo chamber, which is a problem. The other day, James conveyed something to me that I was supposed to have understood from the feminist articles I've read. You're in an echo chamber, but you're also trying to say, we want to communicate this, possibly even to men who barely know what feminism is. It's like an essay. Imagine, you want to convey this. When you're writing your essay, imagine you're writing, imagine the examiner has no idea what you're talking about, has never heard of it before. That's what you're taught, and that's what they need to know, as well as getting better PR. Because otherwise, I think it's utterly counterproductive, and I can see why people get sick of them. I can see why a couple of weeks ago, Queenie said she no longer identifies as feminist, because she got sick of all the fucking misandry.
Just as a closing point to put the counter-argument to that, feminists have done more to help to raise awareness of victims of rape in prisons, men's prisons, than MRAs or the rest of society effectively put together. So, yes, feminism definitely has its problems. Feminists definitely need to learn how to communicate better. But at the end of the day, we can't. This isn't a feminist versus MRA issue, or rape affects everyone, and this is the overall message that society as a whole needs to learn.
Okay, well, to give my own closing thoughts, I'm going to point something out, which is I'm in, of course, the UK, as are James and Gunderson, and this is something that varies throughout. Andy, yep, sorry. This is something that's true, I think, in a few countries, and there are sort of slight variations on it, like whether there's implement used or what have you. But in the UK, where I live, if the victim's a man and the perpetrator is a woman, it's not actually called rape. They can only be arrested and charged and prosecuted for sexual assault. It's a type of rape that we don't even call rape. So society's already thrown a big fuck you in the face of all those rape victims. Right. Going around again, closing thoughts and goodbye from Pinge?
I think everything is said from me. It's like sad way to do a joke, and this rape. I think feminists can use a better language on their placards and so on, and I think they might alienate people and think, but on the other hand, they have done good things too. So I'm like, I rest there.
Okay, and Dee?
Well, you actually touched on something I was thinking about earlier, in that in some states in America, rape, that there are some places where it specifies that rape is specifically penis vagina. So even if you're a woman and you're raped and they use some other implement, it comes. So we need to realise that sexual assault can be as bad as rape, because it's the same thing. But anyway, basically I think the big issue here is who said it and the audience she was addressing. She's making light of not only date rape, But also, it's okay to drug your date rape victim to a bunch of people who I'm assuming to some extent aren't really emotionally and sexually mature enough. So it's, she shouldn't be making these jokes to the audience she has.
I'll agree there. And Gunderson?
I reckon that. Yeah, it's kind of touching on what Dee said, that it's any non-penile penetration that's considered not rape. What of either the vagina, mouth, or anus? That's all that's considered rape in the UK. Which means, yes, if it's done with any other foreign object, it's not rape. If it's done by a woman, it's not rape. Yes, it's. I don't know if this is what you're trying to say, but if it's not really it's because of people's, as James said, people's preconceived notions of what rape is. So it doesn't even across, when they pass this legislation in Westminster, they probably wouldn't have even considered the possibility that yes, a woman can rape someone, or rape can be done with a foreign object.
Yeah. And James?
Yes, moving to Sweden, Pinge's homeland, one of the most disgusting cases I've read of in recent years. A trans woman a man attempted to rape a trans woman in Sweden, but got off scot-free because the trans woman in question didn't have a vagina. Thus making the rape impossible under Swedish law.
Yeah, that makes me ashamed of even being in Sweden. Oh.
Yes.
I don't think it would just be in Sweden that would count, though. But sorry.
Well, yes, there are many parts of the world in which that travesty would count, but of course that was the one case which I remember. Mm-hmm. And yes, at the end of the day, the reason why Miley Cyrus can get away with making such a disgusting and offensive and potentially dangerous joke is cruel, abusive and insulting, but a joke nonetheless. Not because it was funny, but because it shows the absurdity of our society. The reason why she can get away with it is because, as I've discussed and Gunderson and others have agreed, this idea that rape is X, that rape is a man raping a strange woman, so it's not date rape if a woman puts something in another woman's drink or puts something in a man's drink. It's and even the prefix dates in date rape. No, that's not real rape. It's a subcategory which isn't as bad. Oh, for fuck's sake. Society still has so far to go.
Mm-hmm.
And on that bombshell, good night from Pinge.
Yeah, good night tonight.
Good night from Dee.
Good night from Dee.
Good night from Gunderson.
Bye.
And good night from James.
Great holy donkey, forgive us, for we know not what we do.
If we don't have the hamster, we have James and his holy donkey. And it's good night from me. Happy Tuesday, YouTube. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Tonight we are discussing an issue to do with Monica Lewinsky, a name and a face from the past. I was a teenager back with that whole... what was it exactly? I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. So I have a vague recollection being a teenager. My brain's still developing. But the article linked in the description, Monica Lewinsky has written an article for Vanity Fair lashing out at feminists, saying that they let her down. And this time I'm going to go the other way around the room and begin with you, James, who has literally just read this article. So, James, your take on this?
Yes. Going beyond Monica Lewinsky and this individual issue, this all boils down to the fundamental disagreements between us, Alex, which we were discussing yesterday. The fact that people can't really define feminism. What is it? What is its goals? Who exactly is a feminist? Who speaks for feminism? It's like Islam, for example, or Christianity. How do you define a Muslim or a Christian beyond the most basic dictionary definition, which tells you absolutely nothing about the person or the individual beliefs, the groups, the sects, the offshoots, the movements? So, for those people who haven't read the article, basically, Monica Lewinsky's position is that I was a woman, I was being attacked for having sex, therefore feminism should support me, should have defended me, because I was a woman. To which this person who also... Monica no longer identifies herself as a feminist with a capital F because she feels that the feminist leaders betrayed her by not defending her. The writer of this article herself...
Kimberly A. Johnson.
Kimberly A. Johnson, herself a feminist, says, "No, Monica, you chose to have an extramarital affair with the leader of the free world, the President of the United States. It was your choice, and feminism was under no obligation, and frankly, you pissed a lot of married women off." As you mentioned during the recording break, Alex, when we were all getting up to speed with this article, Kimberly, is that her name? Kimberly A. Johnson. She discusses marriage and the sanctity of marriage a lot. She never actually uses the term sanctity of marriage, but that is the position from which she is coming. She, I don't know if she's been cheated on herself, but that is the position that, bitch, you don't fuck a married man and expect women to run to your defence. However, again, moving beyond this individual issue, a feminist or a group of feminists write articles declaring that men are evil, raping, child-murdering scum. Does that represent all feminists? Another example I was discussing with my friend Kim over Skype a couple of days ago, excuse me. The musician Lorde, I think she's Australian or from New Zealand. She's a teenager, but she looks like she's in her 30s. Her most famous song is "It's All About Da 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 Da, Shoot Me in the Head, Please." God, this pisses me off. But she is a feminist herself. She made a statement which was interpreted as an attack on another female musician, to which the other female musician's response was, "How can you call yourself a feminist and attack women?" This brings us back to the Monica Lewinsky article, this idea which exists amongst some people, that feminism is defending women. It is the sisterhood. No matter, this is how the MRAs perceive it as well. The anti-feminists. Oh, it's women insisting that all men are bastards and never doing anything to attack each other, and insisting that we should always believe a woman in court, etc., etc., etc. But no, there are feminists who disagree. Monica herself believes that feminists should defend people like her who have committed extramarital affairs and are attacked for it. Feminists like Kimberly A. Johnson believe that marriage is sacred and bitch, you don't fuck around with another woman's husband. That some feminists believe that all pornography and prostitution is rape. Other feminists are sex workers' rights advocates. Some are getting into bed with the Christian right. Others oppose it to the death. The term, as I say, the term feminism itself, like Muslim, is now so vast and all-encompassing that it's pretty much meaningless. Or there was just this one final point, and then I'll let other people speak. Finally, but there was a TV show in the 1990s called My So-Called Life. The main protagonist had a younger sister called Danielle. Protagonist was about 15, younger sister was 8. Just one part of one episode, she was going around singing the same chant over and over again, driving her sister nuts. The chant ended, boys have the muscle, boys have the brain, but girls have the sexy legs, but they win the game. Shut up, Danielle. You've been singing that same stupid, sexist chant over and over all day. It's not sexist. The girls win.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Wow.
But that is a perfect microcosm of how people's views of gender issues, feminism, men's rights, etc., can be so completely warped. I'm watching this clip recently on the internet. I first saw it when I was a teenager, now seeing it again on YouTube. And yes, and having argued with so many radical feminists, MRAs, etc., this is how some people do perceive feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Gunderson, obviously, you're younger than I am, so I don't think you were even born when all this shit went down.
I was. It was in the late 90s.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, late 90s.
Okay, so I would have been like an infant when this happened.
Okay,
so I don't remember it. Especially, I'm also in a different country.
Well, there's that too. Yes. Did you read the whole article?
I skimmed through it, yes.
Okie dokie. So, what are your thoughts on the issue, and B, do you have any reaction to anything that James said?
What do I have to say? I guess. Well, I mean, I don't like how they say that they're describing, I guess, women as a group rather than as a collective of individuals. So, of course, not all, expecting
as a homogenous group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Describing, when it says expecting women to have your back. I mean,
yeah.
Of course, some aren't and some are, regardless of, with anything like this. So that kind of annoyed me, especially coming from a feminist, whom I kind of expect to know better. But also, I mostly agree with what James said about, sex within groups, be they religious or ideological or whatever. And also, I guess I don't really. I mean, I don't personally give a shit that much about cheating and stuff like that. But the thing is, most people do give a shit about things like that. And considering that, I'm guessing from what the article that Monica Lewinsky was the one who came on to Bill.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
I mean, we'll never know, but yeah, it's. I think the implication. I think she herself has implied that she wasn't
if that's the
coerced.
If that's the case, then it seems like, yeah, I don't see what obligation feminists have to defend her when it was her fault. Well, I mean, sorry, it takes two to tango, so it was. But she initiated it.
It was between consenting adults, to use the American term.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Okay, anything to add? Okay, I'll move on to Dee.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo quite a bit of what both Gunderson and James has just said. Yeah, I do have this issue that the idea that all feminists are going to band together and support any woman in any situation is just ridiculous. Because I know this idea, if you don't, you're throwing us under the bus. Well, hang on, if you're doing something that doesn't fit, then why are we going to protect you? I also have other issues in that, and I think Kimberly also mentions this in her article, is that she had this dress.
Yeah.
And she, to the best of my memory, it was Monica who actually revealed this affair that had happened and produced this dress and said, "Here's some sperm. It's been in my wardrobe for, I can't remember if it was 2 years or 4 years, however many years, but it'd been in there for some time," which makes me kind of
by that point.
Well, it also makes me a little. I don't really know I can't remember the actual ins and outs, but I know she produced a dress and claimed, this is sperm from him on my dress, proof that we had an affair. That within itself makes me feel a little suspicious as well. What was going on? Now, I have a big issue with the media and the way they go after people.
Yes.
But having said that, I mean, Monica was a young intern. I mean, the fact, again, a lot of these things are in the article, which I agree quite a lot with the article of the woman who wrote it. It's like, well, if it hadn't been for feminists, chances are Monica never would have got the job to be this young intern in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Secondly, why should feminists be on the side of someone who has, for all intents and purposes, betrayed another woman by having an affair with her husband? Why had she kept this dress? Why did she reveal the affair to the press? And she obviously wasn't. I assume she wasn't stupid. I assume she didn't just get there on looks alone. I'm fairly sure that's the case.
Yeah.
If I did something like that, I would be expecting a backlash. I mean, do you know what I mean? I'm a little puzzled. Monica's behaviour is a little strange, in my opinion.
A little keeping a spunk stain.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and then, I don't know, it's all. And I think she also, I think I scanned down earlier, I think one of the comments somebody made was, well, it's not fair because Monica was vilified and Clinton got away with it. Actually, it didn't. It wrecked his chances for the next term.
Oh, no, he did actually get the second term.
Oh, he did. I know
that was his second term, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his second term. So the point was it didn't wreck anything for him.
Oh, right, I see. I thought they only get 2 terms over there, don't they?
It still wasn't very good PR for him.
No, it wasn't good PR for him.
It wasn't. No, actually, his approval ratings went up, not down.
Oh, right. Oh,
really?
Well,
yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
It certainly highlights the double standards then, but.
Yes, the Monica Lewinsky scandal didn't harm Clinton at all in any way, shape, form or fashion. The neoconservatives who have now taken over the Republican Party, Bill Clinton's enemies, the main rivals and opponents in the 1990s, the people who would later get George W. Bush into power, they were the ones who created this massive rumour mill against Clinton. They were the ones who brought Monica Lewinsky to the fore, spread the lies and rumours that the Clintons, both Bill and Hillary, were involved in drug dealing, that they were in real estate fraud, that they had something to do with the death of one of their political advisors. Basically, everything that you see the Tea Party and the Republicans, the neoconservatives, throwing against Obama.
Except the Muslim...
Except
the racism, basically.
Bearing in mind the fact that that Clinton is a white guy from Arkansas. Yeah. A white Christian from Arkansas. Everything that they could, they tried on Clinton. But just like Obama, it didn't stick. Nobody was buying it. And Monica Lewinsky as well. His approval ratings went up and not down. There was even a joke about it on British television because sex scandals seemed to boost politicians' popularity and approval ratings. This was in the run-up to the 97 election with John Major. So John Major is a man who cares, a man who understands, and a man who has done it with every gorgeous woman in Hollywood several times.
In that case, I stand corrected. I thought it had a... So, in that case, I stand corrected.
Yeah, so again, the fact that Monica is still you're the girl who shagged the president almost 20 years later, and Clinton is still making millions of dollars a year off books and giving lectures and so forth. Is a double standard, but again, the society in which we live, going back to what we were talking about yesterday, the fact that if you're the woman, then you're the slut, the whore, etc. If you're the man, high fives.
yeah, there's definitely a bit of that going on. And as just to kind of finish my point. I don't like the media. I don't like the way they behave in general. I don't like a lot of the media, the news media. I don't like the way they sort of hound people, and I don't like the fact that in the grand scheme of things, Clinton and Monica having this affair are pretty immaterial in the grand scheme of things. What is far more important are what are his policies, what is he doing, what is he planning to do for the country? This is far more relevant. So this idea... And I don't want to sound like I'm victim blaming, because she should have just been, okay, he had an affair, okay, move on. But at the end of the day, she must, you can't think that you can reveal this and not expect to be hounded by the media. Even if they're giving you positive or negative press, you know damn well you're going to attract a shit ton of media attention.
Yes. Again, Monica isn't a victim in any way, shape, form or fashion. She made her bed, and now, 20 years later, she's still lying in it.
Yeah, when you consider that what came out of the woodwork as well were multiple accusations against Clinton by women. I think they were all invariably women that had worked with him or for him.
Yes.
And of sexual harassment, and at least one of rape.
But the overwhelming majority of those, when there were Senate committees to hear this evidence against them, what if I told you, Ms. Insert name here, that we now have incontrovertible evidence that not only have you never been in the same room with President Clinton, you have never been in the same city until this day.
So
I had no idea. So they were opportunistic people.
But again, not only opportunists, people who had been deliberately hunted down by the neoconservative propagandamongers.
Right, okay. Right, finally, it's Pingate's turn.
Sorry, darling.
It's okay. I'm a bit puzzled more about reading this thing. It's like, first of all, she have done something to every woman. No, she hasn't. She have done a thing to Clinton's wife. That's the only woman she have hurt. So the article is like, oh, so why should we support you, blah, 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 because you are done to every woman, blah, blah, blah. No. How can she do it to any... Is every woman married to Clinton, or what? It's like, so how did you come up with that idea? It was like, well, that's the first thing I thought about it. But then I agree with James. It's more like it has to do with what is feminist. How do you be a feminist? Is marriage something that is important in feminism, or is it not, and so on? So what this article actually say is that feminism are like any other thing, many things, and you have to ask each person, okay, what do you think your type of feminist is, and from that you have to understand what they think and their thoughts and so on. So yeah, and all I think you all have said that you talk too much.
Yes, well the thing is, we only divvy feminists up into radical and moderate, and even then there's misunderstandings as to what we mean. It was recently, I think, extremely boring, made a video explaining what radical because I always just kind of thought that moderate feminists were the actual feminists and radical feminism had almost nothing to do with it. They were just a bunch of nut jobs. But it's more complicated than that, apparently.
No, I don't think it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm speaking as a moderate feminist. No bias or anything. No.
But yes, going back to what Kim Gay was saying about you, Kimberly A. Johnson insisted you hurt all women. What? Are all women married to Clinton? This goes to a much larger point, which I'm hoping to discuss in a YouTube video sometime in the future. I don't know if we all use Facebook, I'm guessing. I know that Pingay. Dee, do you use Facebook as well?
When I remember I've got a Facebook account.
Yes. Have you seen the meme, a photo with a quite swanky dress and the note, dinner's at 7, be ready by 6:30, love you, Jonathan? And the meme, every man should do this at least once.
Once a day, that is, isn't it?
But
Sorry. Massive arguments in the comment section between women who, no, I do not want a man to just suddenly announce that, yes, I'm having dinner at 7, wear this like a good little dolly, versus, oh, feminism is destroying romance. If it was a football jersey and the wife was saying, I'll pick you up for the game at 6, here are 2 tickets, oh, nobody would be complaining about that. But still, the fundamental point is, it's what each woman wants. This is the point I'm going to raise in the video. What if a man and woman are in a dominant and submissive relationship, or maybe the woman is dominant. The man puts a little note on a dog collar, put this on, strip naked and put this on, bitch, I'll be back to punish, and crawl into the corner, stay quiet, I'll be back to punish you at some point tonight. That's their relationship. That's what the submissive in question wants. To say that all men should do this, or that, the fact that men don't do this anymore is feminism's fault, it's or men's fault, etc. It's again, Monica Lewinsky, well, this is my definition of feminism, so I feel I was betrayed by feminism. Kimberly A. Johnson, well, my definition of feminism includes don't cheat with another wife's husband, bitch, so fuck you. I think I must misheard your original, because all I heard was the man had cooked the dinner and said it was. That's all that filtered through my brain. That's why I was like, he should do that once a day. Yeah, certainly.
The point of the original meme was take you out for a romantic dinner at 7. Excuse me. I don't want to be dressed up like a dolly and told that I'm going to be taken out. Excuse me. Can I choose the restaurant, please? And
screw that. Just choose a man.
If you give me dinner, I will dress like a dolly. It's okay.
Yeah, but.
Just.
But again, it's what each individual person again, something I've discussed in previous videos, the fact that because the way our mind works, we are all the centre of our own universe. As far as we are each concerned, our mind is the only thing that exists. We look out from our eyes, and everything else is just information. Other people are just individuals who come and go. So it's so easy to just think that the world revolves around us, but no, it doesn't. So instead of the golden rule, do as unto others as you would have them do unto you, I live by the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would be done by. Ask them, what do you want?
Yeah, I always had a problem with do unto others as you would have others do unto you, because I'm a bisexual sadomasochist.
Yeah.
If I live by
again, Alex, can I just make this joke? A sadist is a masochist who lives by the golden rule.
Dear.
I want to point out to Christians, if I obeyed that rule, I would be in prison now.
But yes, and do unto others as they would be done by. So many arguments on YouTube. Well, we should do this to save these poor girls. We should do that. Excuse me, have you asked them?
It reminds me of, I can't remember which comedy sketch it is. It's like, the youth who helps the old lady across the road, and when she gets across the road, she's kind of like, I didn't actually want to cross the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember which comedy sketch it was. And there's a bit more to it than that, obviously, but yeah, it's just...
Yeah, just...
doing a good turn for the day. I didn't want to be on this side of the road.
That's why all the ladies are so angry at me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've done everything with this subject. So, going around in the same order, good night from you, James.
May the hamster of prosperity rest upon your heads. Sorry, who...
Oh, no, you plagiarism.
No, that's the thing. I've already done the great holy donkey. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere who thinks, hamster of prosperity. No, we need the hamster of prosperity.
In the spirit of equal time. So Koki couldn't make it tonight, but is with us in spirit. And a good night from Gunderson.
Good night.
And a good night from Dee.
Toodle pip.
And a good night from Pinge.
Yeah, I need a hamster. Yeah.
And it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
And happy Wednesday, YouTube. Happy Wednesday, everyone. And joining us tonight are my guests, PingeMusic.
Hello.
And Koki Pirate.
Just glad I could make it before it was time for Thursday.
Exactly. You're spoiling the illusion.
The fourth wall! You're breaking the fourth wall!
And James.
Yes, sir. The blessings of the great holy donkey be upon you all.
Yes, we had the donkey and the hamster this time, yet again.
Yeah.
And today, we are discussing the issue of trigger warnings on literature for students. And I'm going to go around in the order that... Actually, I know that James is the most enthusiastic to talk about this, so I'll go in that order this time. James, if you'd like to... obviously, links in the description. James, if you would like to get the ball rolling on this.
Yes, a college in California, university in California, the student government has requested that trigger warnings for issues such as rape, suicide, and what have you, be included in the literature which they are required to study, books such as The Great Gatsby. Yes, as an author myself, as someone who discusses films which do trigger people on YouTube and has unfortunately, unwittingly caused harm to individuals in the past by not including trigger warnings when I linked a Korean film or showed a clip from a Korean film. I believe that this is a vitally important issue. Of course, the article itself, the article itself, most of it is just explaining why the students believe this is important, and the only argument against it is that, well, these are adults, we shouldn't be treating them like babies, etc. And how far is this going to go? Well, what? Are you afraid of wasting computer memory? Are you afraid of wasting paper? How difficult is it to put a trigger warning at the beginning of the relevant art or media? But then, though, there is the issue that post-traumatic stress disorder, people who are suicidal, people who have survived rape, sometimes it is difficult to know exactly what will trigger them. Alex, are you okay with me talking about Farscape?
Okay.
Yeah. Tell me if I stop. But Alex and I, a couple of months ago, one of the things we did together over Skype was watch Farscape, and Alex was deeply upset, possibly even triggered, by the female-on-male violence. I actually made a video discussing this issue. But again, the problem was, if I had gone through and scanned the video beforehand, even when I did go through and scan the episode beforehand, I don't perceive it as an issue, so I still gave it the green light, to which Alex, unfortunately, was still upset. But in this digital age, one in which adding a trigger warning is simply a matter of typing trigger warning in the title or the description. It's not like we have to reprint every book. It's not as if it's going to be this great task. It is the age of individual media. So, yes, taking people's individual emotions and needs into account. How is this a bad thing?
Yes, quite. And Pinge?
I get some vibes from the 80s with the hard rock CD. It was LP, sorry. But anyway, there was like fuck, and then you have the skull on it because they say fuck or so. But on the other hand, when I listen to it, this article about the school thing, yeah, I can see the thing in the school that, of course, you should warn people that are in school for. They are actually there to learn something, not to trigger something up. But then on the other, when you're on the net and on life after, you have to find ways to actually cope with your problems. So trigger warning, and who is going to say? For me, it's like I have panic attacks on trains. Should I put a trigger warning on trains so that? For me, it's like. They can't warn me for trains because I know that sometimes it's like that. So I see that thing here. It's like, but on the other hand, it's easy to do in this digital age. It's like, say, trigger warning, and you hopefully have found out all the things that actually can trigger from people. But do you really?
I just want to say, Pinga, I do understand the point that you're making, and yes, the broader point is correct, but you have to choose to get on a train yourself, and you know that sometimes, or all the time when you're on a train, it can give you a panic attack.
Yeah, but I didn't know that the first time I get on the train and get the panic. I didn't know that. So it's like, yeah, I could have. So, but I understand your point there also. But
yes, and again, oh, by the way, this film includes someone being raped and almost beaten to death. Would be a good thing.
Yeah, that's.
Yes, it's watching guys getting on a train. That's something that happens a lot in your life. But watching a film, it's something that most people only do once or twice.
Yeah. But I see that's the thing I have. But on the other side, as I said, if you're actually writing a book or doing a movie and you know from experience or from, it's not easy to do. Put a label on it and you, why not? But I see the problem here also, because if you don't put a label on, then should you be sued because the label wasn't there? If someone actually do something that you didn't have the label
sorry to be such a pimp for my book, such a shill, but yes, I did recently publish a book, Beauty is Pain by James S. Croft, available now on Amazon. By now, beat the rush. But yes, it is a very... Alex can attest to this. His review of Forgiveness was, why, God, why? But, yes, I did strongly consider including a trigger warning in the book itself. Teresa, who was in charge of formatting the book, decided just to put one in the description on the Amazon, on the sales page on Amazon or Lulu where people buy it. But again, I do, because yes, in the past people have been triggered, have had suicidal thoughts, etc., have had panic attacks because I didn't put a trigger warning on a YouTube video. You know, and again, the whole issue of responsibility. Should I be sued if someone gives the book to a friend so they don't read the trigger warning on the Amazon page or the Lulu page, and then they, this looks, oh my fucking God, or to quote Alex, why God, why? Yeah, and yes, if that does cause, if that does trigger them, am I responsible for that? Should I be held accountable? That is a serious question.
As I actually wondered that about my own book, which I actually wrote before I was myself a survivor, where I understand the reasons for the scene, which is actually, you could say comedic, but it's actually, I felt that the comedy was so absurdist, and the meaning and reason for it was so clear that it was justified. I now think, maybe when I advertise this book, and I should actually possibly even apologise to people, because it kind of like, I may not have understood, and people not understanding. Yeah. What gets me is when people take a pig-headed attitude, and I think you can guess the people that I mean, James, you know, whereas some people can, some people can admit it and apologise. And yes, I mean, when somebody showed me Boys Don't Cry, you know, they told me, you know, when to look away and remove the headphones. And that's being considerate. But it takes intelligence and sensitivity to understand it, because some people, if they're dumb and pig-headed and insensitive, you can't explain it to them.
Yes.
You know?
Again, though, Alex, beyond beyond pig-headedness and going back to the Farscape example, there were times when, no, I honestly didn't think that it would be an issue because I've seen Farscape. I don't personally have a problem with it. I understand things like surbation culture, the fact that Aaron's son, the character in question, who commits the most violence in the series, the fact that she is biologically female is irrelevant. She's a peacekeeper. There are only two types of peacekeepers, soldiers and techs. If you're a soldier, you are trained from birth to kill without question and obey orders without hesitation. Male, female, short, tall, old, young. So, yeah, the fact that this peacekeeper was so violent, again, I didn't see that as an issue, but obviously, of course, Alex, you did. So as much as I struggled to be compassionate, as much as I struggled to take your feelings and your issues into account, that fundamental difference of understanding, difference of perception was still there as an issue. However, again, in the digital age, it's not a question of one person deciding trigger warnings. My book at the moment is printed on paper through Amazon or as an e-book from Lulu. But if you were to show, but the way that the digital age is going, soon everything will be in the cloud. So you could add the trigger warning for other people who, for male survivors of domestic violence or what have you, people who are triggered by female on male violence. Warning: this series includes female on male violence, etc. But again, it's a long way to go before we get to the cloud. So it is largely a question of social evolution until then.
Yes, and I would say that Forgiveness was the story which without wanting to give too many spoilers, that referred back to events. It didn't show them in a particular scene, but I would say it was a very, very dark. My point is, it's actually another story. Which I thought was worse. But the thing is with that is I can advise, but obviously, again, one person can't speak for everybody. That was my point there.
Regarding Forgiveness, though, Alex, Forgiveness, the story in my book, I just want to say, first of all, literally your entire review of the story was why, God, why? So any description story, it might not necessarily be a spoiler, but it's good for people to know something about it. It's even if it is a spoiler, a trigger warning is essential, because although you've made the point that the rape, the imprisonment occurred in the past, there is the main story does revolve around self-harm. Again, trigger warning for anyone listening to this podcast who has engaged in self-harm or feels compelled to engage in self-harm. It is a deliberate exploitation. It is a deliberate exploration of the slow, methodical, ritualistic nature of self-harm. Way that people do it to relieve guilt and pain. That is the reason why I wrote it, but also it is the main reason why I feel I should have fought harder to have a trigger warning in the book. Because, yes, it is going to be a serious issue for several people. Indeed, advertising the book, sending links to my friends, actually thinking, "Oh God, is it safe to link this book to some people?" for
Yeah.
for this very reason. And also, oh my God, what have I written?
There is also the upside that somebody might say, "Oh, I read this and thank God," because when I read it, I thought, "Thank God somebody understands."
Indeed, that is the reason why I do make videos about self-harm. This is not only for people who do feel isolated, but also for people who have no understanding. Even though it's fiction, again, the whole point was to start the discussion, to get people thinking about issues such as rape and self-harm. And again, sorry.
I'm also another thing with this. It sounds like sometimes it can make you might censor yourself when you write and so on, because you're thinking about trigger warnings and so on. And if all this, then your book or your story will not be anything at all, because
the fact that I have written exactly what I wanted to write, and now afterwards I'm worrying about trigger warnings. And
but the next time you begin to write a book, and if you have this in the back of your head,
yes, that is a very important issue. Can we truly talk about and explore these issues when we are worried about trigger warnings, when we are worried about how people will react? Going back to Monday's topic, in fact, rape jokes, humour can be one of the best ways to discuss things when people usually wouldn't want to listen.
Yeah.
If you make the joke intelligent, if you really understand what you're talking about, then you can phrase the joke in a way that would plant the seed of understanding and knowledge in people's mind while they're laughing. So again, to say that no, we must never tell jokes about rape or self-harm, etc., is just as harmful as, perhaps even more harmful than just people making hideous, Miley Cyrus making hideous jokes willy-nilly. But yes, this is a deeply complex issue.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and Koki Pirate, your thoughts?
Well, when we're talking about in principle, is it good to be more accommodating? Yes. Even if they're an adult? Yes.
Yeah.
Can you ever be too accommodating? I think you could always be more accommodating. I don't think you can ever be too accommodating. Sometimes you do have to make sacrifices in order to be more accommodating, in which case it's a cost-benefit analysis. But accommodation in itself, I think, can only be a positive. So, I just want to say, in principle, I would say I'm absolutely for the trigger warnings. Before I go on to what I do want to talk about, is that there's actually a very notable lack of study on the topic of trigger warnings, as opposed to many other sort of psychological issues. A lot of people will talk about this or that diet, for example, if you're trying to lose weight, and the only diet that will work is the diet you stick to, no matter how effective the calorie intake is. And I think the same thing happens with any sort of trigger warning policy. Are people going to consistently use it? Because it can make things worse, actually, when you think about it. When there's some sort of trigger warning policy, does it create an environment where people with post-traumatic stress disorder will be drawn to, but then encounter something that triggers them? So I think that there really should be some... Oh, go ahead.
Personal responsibility is still an important issue. One fear I can imagine people having is that, well, if there's a trigger warning about rape or suicide on great classic literature such as The Great Gatsby, then people with PTSD or rape survivors, etc., people who have been suicidal are going to deliberately stay away from it. On the other hand, what I've learned from posting trigger warnings in the past is that many times people just need a warning. So a chance to brace themselves, to say, okay, this is going to include rape, and have time to mentally prepare themselves before they experience it, rather than it just hitting them in the face out of the blue. But so again, personal responsibility is a factor. Do please go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's definitely that brace themselves factor, and I'm not saying that trigger warnings are ineffective. I'm just saying that it seems as though there's a lack of study in the matter, like in terms of input from people with PTSD to going to places that do have a trigger warning policy versus going to places that do not have a trigger warning policy. Go ahead.
I would say, first of all, trigger warnings aren't necessarily effective in and of themselves. Trigger warnings, I would suggest they can't be effective or ineffective in and of themselves. It's like a mind your head sign. Either you read it and pay attention to it, or you don't. And what was it? Trigger in Only Fools and Horses. I kept banging my head on the doorway. I kept banging my head on the mind your head sign. Well, why did you keep doing that? Well, I couldn't read.
I guess there are a couple of things. I think what you're kind of misunderstanding what I'm saying at is, even if a library has a policy of posting trigger warnings on problematic books, do we know it's going to be effectively implemented on all of the relevant books? Because what was that?
This goes back to what I was saying before. We cannot. There are so many people who are in the world who are triggered by so many things that individually we can't. No group or institution like a library can go through and know what triggers everyone and label every book accordingly. So instead, I was looking forward to something like digital media, in which the community would progressively add more and more trigger warnings, etc. And of course, being the internet, you'd only receive the information that was relevant to you. Again, this is all pie in the sky, this is all hypothetical, but you grab something off the cloud that you want to read or you want to watch, and relevant because of your user identity, the relevant trigger warnings and the relevant issues, along with relevant advertising, etc. Hey, if you like this, then why not check out this other film or piece of literature? All of that would be a part of your download. But again, as it stands, even now, one of the things I'm concerned about is the trigger warning on the sales page on Amazon. As you say, does it cover everything? I've said drug addiction, I've said rape, I've said self-harm, I've said suicide, but, flicking through the book, is there anything else I should have said? If someone's okay with all of that, but... I didn't specify female on female rape. So is there a person who's okay with male on female, who isn't triggered by okay with? Wrong term. But is there someone who is not triggered by male on female rape, but is triggered by female on female rape? So. Again, it is a much, much more complex issue than simply slapping a trigger warning, but it's that the answer is progressive and will rely on the evolution of technology and the community. Yeah.
I mean, I can understand, this sort of hypothetical, what if technology makes this more accommodating. But my question is, are there a lot of studies? And actually, I've looked into this, and I think there should be more studies, rather. So it's not really a question. I'm saying I think there should be more studies on the topic as to whether or not trigger warnings are effective in helping people with PTSD enjoy, be it safe spaces or literature. And, in principle, when I rationalize it, it makes sense that it would be. I just find it rather shocking that there aren't a lot of studies, because maybe there are more effective approaches. You mentioned in the digital age, with where everything can be on the internet, maybe it should be a bit more in reach within the community of people who have PTSD, as opposed to some sort of outward policy. I don't know. I just mean the logistics of implementing something can be complicated, and I think that there should be more studies on people with PTSD asking, did this safe space actually help reduce the amount of times that you were triggered? Because a lot of them could have triggering stuff, some of it which is you're warned about, and some of which you're not. And so they may end up being more triggered going to that safe space than they would otherwise be.
Yes, I do agree, Koki, that we need to understand more. We need more studies. We need more hard data. Do trigger warnings actually help anyone? That is a very good question. However, I think one of the biggest issues regarding trigger warnings is, as far as I'm aware, they've only really come into existence in the last couple of years. That they are almost, not a direct, but an indirect result of the rise of the internet. The fact that, yes, people do have a space where they can talk about their post-traumatic stress disorder, they can talk about self-harm, the fact that they are rape survivors, the fact that they suffer from anxiety, depression, or have suicidal thoughts, are feel compelled to commit suicide. That, yes, the rise of individual media and individual spaces on the internet, personal spaces, has given rise to this need for trigger warnings. So it's like any study into the effects of cars only 6 months after Mercedes-Benz created the first modern automobile, or whoever it was. The positive or negative effects of cars only 6 months after Ford released the Model T. It is such a new phenomenon. It is such an unknown quantity in our society that if we were to perform a study, what would we be studying? At the moment, you're talking, Koki, about the possibility of libraries or colleges with strict trigger warning policies. Even then, would they mark every book? Would every book be marked correctly? Versus libraries, college libraries, in which have no trigger warning policy. The unknown variables, there would be no way to control for there would be no way to control for all of the various factors which could render the study completely meaningless. We simply don't know enough, because at the moment trigger warnings are really just up to the individual. It's just something that individuals do as an act of courtesy. It is for myself, has been a long, slow process. oh fuck, I should have put a trigger warning on this. Oh fuck, I should have put a trigger warning on that. Oh wait, should I put a trigger warning on this as well? So yes, Koki, I absolutely agree that we need to know more, but at the moment it's an undiscovered country. We have yet to formulate any solid questions, so it's very difficult to have any hard, verifiable answers.
Yeah.
Okay, Coke.
Huh?
Oh, sorry, there was a bit of rustling. I wasn't sure. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm fine. No, you're right. I suppose the logistics of actually testing this kind of thing might be difficult. And granted, there are a lot of variables. Like, even if you were to take the clients of two different websites, have a little survey, how many of them have PTSD in website 1 and versus website 2, is the content the same? How effectively are the trigger warnings are? Because I said there's the possibility that a place with trigger warnings might draw in more people with post-traumatic stress disorder and inadvertently trigger a bunch of people based on the content that's not warned. And maybe someone who goes to the other place might be a bit more careful knowing that there aren't trigger warnings. But yeah, it's difficult to test. But it's certainly something, before I feel like I can say anything conclusive in terms of implementation, it's something that we really ought to have hard scientific data on. So right now, well, the status quo isn't good. I will say that it's certainly something that before, we act, we need to understand what we're getting into. Because we don't want to either waste money on something that's ineffective or possibly something that can inadvertently hurt people.
I would say, Koki, that you're really kind of jumping the gun there. No, they are, because, excuse me, I've forgotten all about the policy that, yes, not the policy, the article that, yes, the student government is actually calling for this to be a policy of. Excuse me, I was so caught up in the internet trigger warnings. The fact that, as it stands at the moment, it is something that individuals do out of compassion. But first of all, how much money would it actually waste? As I say, it's one of the lines one of the famous lines, I can't remember who it's attributed to, when the US government, shortly after the American Revolution, were arguing over whether the Bill of Rights should be a part of the Constitution. So, why are you afraid of adding the Bill of Rights as well? Are you afraid of wasting paper? How difficult is it for professors? Because at the moment they're only talking about literature classes or books which are required reading. How difficult is it for professors or lecturers to write trigger warning on the top of the required reading, on the relevant sections of the required reading sheet? I would compare that to writing trigger warning suicide, or this video includes graphic depictions of suicide in the description of one of my YouTube videos.
But then we come to another problem. If you say that it is required reading, and then you have a trigger warning, and then the students say, "Okay, I can't read it because of a trigger warning." How do you do with the person's grades? And that was also an interesting question. Well, will he? If you say no to the book, will he don't get the grade?
There have been issues like that regarding things such as religion and other personal beliefs. If the class requires something, I can't remember exactly, won't be able to cite an article, but there was one case in which a fundamentalist religious boy his religion would not let him work directly with girls, sorry, it's your choice. If you don't want to take this class because you can't you can't do the work, you can't complete the assignments because you're unwilling to work with unmarried women, then that is your choice. That is your responsibility. No one's forcing you to take this class. Feel free to transfer to another.
Yeah, but if you have a trigger warning for something that, say, panic attacks or something other that can trigger something for you, and if you have that warning, then you are like, I don't want to risk this. Mm-hmm. So you are forced to risk what you think can hurt you or not get the call. It's might be
that's the thing. American universities, British universities, I'm sure Swedish universities as well. It's not like either you must do this course, you must read this book, or you will never get your degree. You can choose which classes you want to take.
Absolutely. I just pointing out some things. If you put trigger warnings on every book, on many books and so on, have another issue there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so warning: this book on gynecology includes graphic depictions of of vaginas.
Yeah.
There was one case of a university college course where a student refused to watch and be tested on An Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore because while he claims it's for religious causes, I don't see the religious argument on climate change, but, because of his political beliefs. This has always sort of been a problem. But to clarify what I was saying earlier, in terms of, how much money would be wasted, I mean, you're probably going to have to hire an expert to go through all of these books and spend a lot of hours, evaluating each one and putting back an entire sort of faculty within the university. It could be considerably more costly than we would imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that would be necessary. Again, these are books that have been studied, discussed, and taught for decades. I believe that The Great Gatsby was written in the 1930s, so it has been a fundamental part of any American literature class since at least after the Second World War. So, yes, again, this idea that you would, that an expert would be required to go through every single book. No, a simple trigger warning, this book includes a graphic depiction of rape. I believe that would be necessary because, again, it's not necessarily, you don't need an expert to say that this film includes a rape scene. It's there in the film.
That's the thing. If you make some kind of easy list for things that are going to be marked, then it's okay. So then you have your list, and then you see, okay, rape, pop, fix it.
I mean, to say that you don't need like an expert is like, I'm just thinking about the Farscape example you used. And many other examples.
This is the wider issue of individuals being. But again, how would an expert? Would any expert? Would all of the experts as well be able to identify that Alex, for example? It would literally all boil down to the point made, the facetious, sarcastic point made at the end of one of the articles. We might as well just say bad shit happens in this book. Don't read it if you don't like bad shit.
Yeah. Well, part of me, is wondering about the exploration of other options. Like, people. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to just be the PTSD community doing this, but more of a quick resource for people with PTSD, with reviews of all of the books, all of the movies that would specify what happens that might be triggering, how triggering, that kind of thing, as opposed to putting it on like the bookmakers or the librarians themselves.
Yes, I see this as a double question. It's like if you take it on the school level, then you have to explore much more to actually implement it. But if you take it on the internet and your personal choice to actually make a trigger warning, it's wonderful if you think something in your book or in your music or whatever might trigger something. Why not put a trigger warning and say this might do something? I think that's. But when it comes to the policy of school, that probably have to have more studies, I think.
And I would say just as a final point that I do believe trigger warnings or their equivalents, other ways of dealing with this issue, they are something which has to evolve from the needs of the individuals in question, not something which is imposed.
Okay, so final thoughts and goodbyes, and I'll go in the same order. So, you, James, your final thoughts and goodbye.
Yes, Koki Pirates has raised so many important issues surrounding this subject. Where is the hard data? If any one institution were to impose a policy, would it actually do more harm than good? Are there other ways to deal with this issue? And ultimately, I think it just goes back to the point that this is a matter of evolution, technological and social, with the needs of the individual coming into play, being the main focus of other individuals, of corporations, of websites, of book publishers, and no, not being a great pronouncement saying this book it has been labelled X for rape warnings and suicide warnings. No, the world won't work like that anymore. But either way, though, may the great holy donkey bless your house for 7 generations.
Aha, and Pinge, final thoughts and goodbye.
Final thought. I think the label thing, easiest way, if I think something in my songs or in my book at this stage, why not put some warning on it? Because I think it's a good thing if I can do that, if I think something is bad. So, good thing, need more study, and have a wonderful night, and goodbye from Pinge.
Aha! And last but by no means least, final thought and goodbye from Koki Pirate.
I feel like I've been like the devil's advocate of this little session, which I guess I don't mind the role, but I just want to stress to anyone who has PTSD that might be watching this, I love you guys, and I really want society to be more accommodating towards you. This is more a question of...
That was the word.
Accommodating. Okay,
yes,
yay, because...
It's about accommodating the individuals. There I was pausing and stuttering like a retard for my entire goodbye, trying to think of that one damn word.
I'm sorry, the word just occurred to me when I was saying it. But yeah, I hope society is super accommodating to you and that you can go through your lives being triggered less. And, so long as trigger warnings are the only thing, I guess I'll do them when I can, or when it's necessary, rather. But yeah, this is still the Wild West. We don't know what's lurking around, how things are going to work out if we can tame the savage lands that is, sort of the navigating the internet and literature in the digital age. But may the hamster of prosperity rest upon your heads.
Well said.
And on that bombshell, it's good night from me. Happy Thursday, YouTube. Happy Thursday, everyone. And on tonight's edition, I'd like to ask the question, is TV dead? or at least is TV dying? Now, a few weeks ago, over here in the UK, BBC closed down the channel BBC Three, but it will continue as an online-only channel, which will save the BBC millions. But why did this happen? Why did it come to that? When BBC makes some great shows, they made Mongrels, one of the funniest comedies ever. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. But of course, BBC Three was the youth channel. BBC Four, very intellectual, very artsy. That's where you're going to get your 2-hour documentary about Ingmar Bergman, basically. You'd think that wouldn't pull an audience. But the thing is, that pulls an audience, and it pulls mainly an older audience. BBC Three, a lot of music, a lot of young person's comedy, and that young audience don't, if they do watch TV, they watch TV, well, they don't watch TV on their TVs. I know a family who do watch TV, but they basically have their soap operas on in the background, and they're each member, mum, dad, the kids, except maybe the very youngest kid, they're on some kind of electronic device, a phone, laptop, computer.
iPad.
And the iPad, it could, yeah. And basically, which I find, and I might literally simultaneously, they might be Facebooking and eating and half paying attention to a soap opera. I don't know how typical that is of a modern British family. And what
That's
are they
usually my family usually do that. They're usually on an iPad or a phone or something as they watch.
This is it. Even if, admittedly, sometimes you Facebook about the TV show you're watching. That happens in Doctor Who fandom. There's loads of... When a new Doctor Who episode is on for the first time, there's lots of OMG, epic, you know... God, Cokie, when the Statue of Liberty was a weeping angel. OMG, epic, and it's all in your Facebook feed. But then later on you think, hang on, does that make sense? But anyway... and spoilers for some people, apologies. I remember this theory, and I've never actually studied anthropology or psychology. Well, I've studied a bit of psychology. But this theory that the actual reason why you get families around a television set is that it reminds us of when we'd live in a cave and have a fire, and we'd all sit around the fire. And you probably would find yourself, because fire is quite a... When I've been in houses with open fires, and when I've been camping, a fire is a very hypnotizing thing to look into. People in history would have believed that they saw things in the fire, like premonitions. But basically, though, it's the source of light, it's the source of warmth for your family unit or whatever collective you're living in. So you're huddled together in the cave, and Cokie will immediately be thinking of the tribe of Gum in Doctor Who. But so what does it say about us then, the modern human being? That we're not so much sitting around the fire or sitting around the television. I talk to internet people more than I talk to members of my own family, just as I don't watch TV on TV. It's like Christmas Day is when I actually watch TV with family members. And most of the time, I'm corporeally on my own, apart from the cat. Makes me sound a bit sad, but we're internet junkies now, and most of our communication is like this. And you can watch a movie or a TV show over Skype with a friend, but you're not gathered around the fire replacement. Anyway, I'm going to go in reverse order and open with Cokie. Your thoughts?
Well, I suppose. Well, first of all, it's always nice to join you on Thursdays, which it is. Thursday, that is. But I think that my being the token Latino here, I just highlight that there are some cultural differences when it comes to TV usage across cultures. In Latin America, and, you know, I actually heard that there were studies, and this is why they're opting to dub a lot of shows as opposed to just having Spanish subtitles. In Latin America, the norm is to treat television more as if it were a radio. That is to say, keep the TV on while you're like washing the dishes or cleaning up, or taking a nap or whatever. Occasionally glancing over, when you want to see like the action scenes or whatever. But mostly sort of listening to stuff. And I notice I do that a lot as well. Like I might have a YouTube video playing, and I might just close my eyes and listen to them speaking. And television is a much more ambient thing, I guess, for a lot of Latinos. Though I do think you do see that in other cultures as well, because I noticed that sometimes they might show an American program where, a man's watching TV, or the TV's on while the man is sleeping, and then they turn off the TV. It's like, who did that? It's like, I was watching that. It's sort of like an ambient thing for a lot of people. Why did I bring that up? Well, yeah, so the Fire Association, that's not a universal thing, I guess. But I think it is a really interesting point, because television is treated as a much more, I guess, social in the conventional sense activity than internet is. Because geography isn't a factor on the internet. I mean, it is in terms of time zones and whatnot, but, I would say the internet is quite social. I mean, we're having a bunch of conversations with people from other parts of the world, and we oftentimes synchronize videos together to watch them together. But it's taking a completely new form, which, it's interesting how, I guess, the campfire, not only is it now an artificial light, but it's not even a light in a fixed geographic location, but rather a shared experience. And other people, you mentioned like people talking about Doctor Who or whatever when it's happening live. Yeah. So it's like you're not even directly interacting with these people, but everyone's sharing this experience and looking at the shared experience at the same time, speaking and socializing about something that's happening at that moment. Which, it's interesting how culture is developing.
Yeah, and Doctor Who's a very good example, of course, because that was the reason that the anniversary special had to be simulcast, even though it was in cinemas as well. So across homes and cinemas throughout something like 200 countries globally, because it's like the most syndicated show, isn't it? They all had to see it. Doctor Who fans across the globe all had to see it at once, because otherwise people will be tweeting, people will be putting things in their status update, and spoilers, even though this meant, 200 countries across the world, you're going to be watching Doctor Who in so many different time zones, including being in the cinema. It could be a ridiculous time of day for you. And technically, if you were in Australia or New Zealand, it wasn't even the correct date for the anniversary, of course. But you've got to do it, because everyone's going to tweet, everyone's going to Facebook and Tumblr and whatever. And literally millions of people doing that. I'm surprised that it didn't. I'm surprised the internet didn't crash under the weight of the fangasms. But another point there, I want to say something anecdotal, because you say that you sleep when you have a video on sometimes, which I do sometimes because I have anxiety issues. I find like a talking book or a talk show. It's how I originally got into podcasts, actually. Podcasts are good when you're trying to sleep, when you're trying to wake up, which takes me hours to do because of my condition. And sometimes just have something on in the background when I'm doing stuff. Back in my television days, I did a really perverse thing. I'd have to look for a TV show I liked with several episodes coming up at once. Like maybe on Paramount Comedy there was going to be like 3 or 4 episodes of King of Queens in a row. I'd have seen those episodes of King of Queens before, maybe multiple times. And it's like, for comfort, I'm finding a TV show I like so that I can fall asleep to it. It's like, I can't fall asleep to any old shit. I want to be asleep during some good television that I like. It's like the equivalent of sort of sucking your thumb or something. But anyway, enough anecdotal stuff. And Gunderson, your take.
I'm not sure if I really have anything to say other than, to build on what anyone else has said so far. I suppose, basically more and more stuff. The internet is slowly. It seems the internet is slowly replacing the telly as a medium of entertainment. I guess largely because it's something you can actually interact with, as opposed to just often in real time, instead of just something that's imposed upon you when you just have to put up with it.
Yeah, it's everything. It's TV, it's games, it's communication. You can watch pretty much anything with somebody from pretty much anywhere in the world. I mean, of course, you're a teenager, and there won't have been a time where you probably can't remember a time when there wasn't an internet. I
have very little memory of it, at least.
Yeah, and there would have been an internet, it just wouldn't have been a widely used thing. Yeah, I mean, the internet began becoming popular very shortly after I left school, and it was an oddity. It was, we didn't have, they brought in internet access into the IT room at my school the year after I left. And internet cafes where you and your mate would go and go into a Yahoo chat room, and having an email account was a weird new thing. Whatever happened to Yahoo chat rooms? That was the first thing I ever did on the internet. It was so weird. It was like I was talking to people, and a friend of mine who just did not understand the internet at that point asked, "Are these people who are paid to talk to you?" It's like what? Yes, you go into a Yahoo chat room. You're the one who's there just because you're there. Everybody else is paid to talk to random people on the. Okay, and I mean that it's. Well, do you think you've seen a massive evolution, or a significant amount of evolution of the internet in, let's say, the past, or since around the turn of the millennium, say? Hello?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Has there been a massive evolution in how the internet is? I'm guessing video calling like this wasn't a thing at the time.
Yeah, there's that, yeah.
And also, I can't really think of anything else other than that.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Watching something simultaneously with somebody over Skype is a concept I've only had for the past 2 or 3 years. That's quite weird. And the way that you go 3, 2, 1, play, that concept. But that is cool, though, because if you're like a fan of something really niche, like James loves East Asian cinema, which is pretty still pretty niche in the West at the moment, or if I didn't live somewhere with other Doctor Who fans and societies and what have you, find anyone. I'm in a call with a Doctor Who fan in Puerto Rico, growing up in the 80s. I don't think I ever thought I'd know somebody from Puerto Rico or somebody from Sweden, unless I did actually physically travel there. Okay, London's a pretty cosmopolitan place, and a lot of students come here for their gap years and stuff, but still. So I suppose, but mainly Europeans, though. So yeah, all right, I've known a few Swedish people, but yeah, it's just it's not a world that I predicted that we'd have like gadgets. The idea that the mobile phone would end up also having other things. I think intuitively I anticipated that, but most of this kind of stuff, definitely not. And Pinge, your thoughts?
The first thing is we talk about the TV. I have it like as a lamp. That's the only thing. I have it on, and it's a lamp, and I see something blurred by. So, but the fun thing when the TV, I have worked with the old people and so on, and they talked with me when the TV come to Sweden, and one family in the whole building bought the TV, and they went to all their other friends in their house, and then we have a TV, and then they come at night and they look at this little TV that was like 2-inch wide or something, and they sat all around that TV and they looked at the test picture and thought that was so fantastic funny. And these older people that talked about, they talked about it. See, I don't think they even could imagine that we should sit here and talk about TV going away or something. It wasn't in their world. And also the fun part, we talk about this sitting in a Skype call and so on. When I was like, say 14 or something years old, there was something in Swedish we call something like hotlines or something. It was abandoned telephone numbers that you could call till, and on that abandoned number there were a lot of people talk on that abandoned number. So that was the most fun we could do to talk with different people that we haven't met. We should call to that abandoned number. So this is Skype is the next step of that. No, but I think TV will end up like a place where we might have put our computer and so on, because the net is the computer and the net is where we are, because we can interact more, and it's not the interaction before was that the whole building sat in front of the only telly there, so they got interaction because of that. And now we sit alone in our own homes and watch one TV is boring, so it's more interaction on the net. So that's why TV will float away or something.
I'm wondering if part of because the internet's a huge factor in television becoming obsolete, but another thing is the way we watch movies, because there are so many films now that are best seen. You know, you kind of got to see them on the big screen. The review of Godzilla I saw. No, if you don't see Godzilla on the big screen, there is no point. Is basically what the reviewer said. And a lot of films are 3D, and unless you're really going to fork out for a massive TV that takes up an entire wall of your flat with the 3D. And obviously, I know you can get 3D Blu-rays, and with the proper 3D glasses, not the shitty 3D. So it is basically the cinematic experience. But even then, that doesn't compare with IMAX. When I saw Avatar at the IMAX, I'd never been to the IMAX before. It was midnight somewhere in central London, and I walked into the cinema. Oh God, yeah, the best way to enjoy cinema. Midnight, central London, one joint. And that's how I saw Alice in Wonderland as well, but that was in Leicester Square, which doesn't have an IMAX. The IMAX, I walked in, and there was nothing but screen. There were no corners, there were no edges. The screen, it was like looking for the horizon. The screen was the world. And seeing Avatar on a screen that big, in 3D, and then, of course, it was kind of like, it's never going to be the same watching it on TV, or, for that matter, on the internet. And it's kind of like, so there's still a reason to go to the movies, even though in London, you're going to pay at least £12.50, you might pay 15 quid. But, mind you, though, I suppose that is about the same as going to the theatre in London if you get the cheapest theatre ticket. When I say theatre, as in stage theatre. So that is another thing, actually, that really the television doesn't give you the movie experience. If you're not watching stuff online, you want to see the big blockbusters where they're meant to be seen. That's always been true to a degree, but in this instance, I think it's more true than ever. So would you agree with that, Koki, that nowadays pretty much there are more and more films that have to be seen in the cinema?
Oh, yeah. Film, where technology has hurt television, it's helped film loads and loads. I mean, I recently saw Godzilla in film, and, with the sound and the visuals, It's true. It's not the same experience that if I saw it on television. Avatar is another great example. I mean, I guess the thing is that television is having difficulty finding its proper niche. I mean, you know, like I've mentioned, in Latin America, and also for me personally, I've always kind of seen it as sort of a background thing. I've even turned on the television to read a book, which sounds nonsensical to a lot of people, but it was the most natural thing in the world for me. But I would say that television is not going to die without a fight. And I guess this is something to bring up, particularly in the United States. Television is prepared to fight dirty. A lot of the internet providers, at least in the United States, I don't know how it is in the UK, are also internet service providers. And that's why the net neutrality thing is coming up pretty regularly. There was a case, I think Comcast was the internet service provider, and they basically deliberately made Netflix slower. And Netflix had to pay them extra to keep that going. But I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing more hostile actions by cable companies against the internet to try to make the internet less of a, you know, a viewing experience so that people would go back to television.
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely is something. I mean, do you think that it might be responsible for, and may to some extent already have been at least partially responsible for, a dumbing down of television, because they're desperate, craving for ratings? We've got to have a reality TV show where people dressed as nuns have sex with dogs, because that's the next step in reality television, because that'll get ratings. So they stop bothering risking having anything that's actually got merit and therefore might not be watched.
You know, I would say that the internet may have helped television in regards to the dramas that they do have going. And first of all, I'd say nuns having sex with dogs. The internet has them beat in that department by far, really. But I'm thinking like a series like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad. One of the reasons why they can afford to have such ongoing stories as opposed to the more episodic shows of the past, you know, now they have more shows where one episode builds upon another, is because they're doing this in confidence that someone could catch up, you know, on the internet and then watch the next episode, instead of, you know, having to start with whatever episode is airing on television, not knowing what happened before. Now they don't have to do the recap to make sure it's accessible for anyone to get into the show at any time, because now there's the internet and people can catch up.
Yeah.
And I also think TV is in the beginning of something else. It's always some kind of evolution in the media and so on. So it's like, sometimes it feels like TV are like they are trying, wait a minute, where is the role we have? And then they find the role, and then we see it, as you said, in the longer series and so on. They have found, this working, we can still have it on TV and we can still draw an audience if we do like this. So sometimes I feel like it is like finding an audience, finding a way to interact with all the other media. So I don't think TV will end. It's more like finding a new way to do new things or old things, but in a better way.
Hey, is Ulog a thing in the Ulog chef? Is that a thing in the UK?
What? Sorry, say again?
Okay, it's not really a show, but at least, I don't know if it's WB, I forget which channel does it, but basically for Christmas time, one channel basically dedicates all of its airtime to having a log burning in a fire with Christmas carols playing. Mm-hmm. So it's basically, it's basically very ambient. It's not a television show. It's a more literal manifestation of gathering around the campfire with music. Very ambient. Because, yeah, that's something that I could definitely turn on the television and read a book to, you know?
Oh, definitely.
New niche again.
Slightly makes me think of the Scenery Channel, which was literally just sweep shots of the countryside, and Yeah,
I've got something in, or not I, but on another place I had on some Scenery Channel. It was like, this is nice.
I was told there's nothing like dropping an E and just watching the History Channel for many, many hours.
That sounds awesome. NASA also has a channel where they just show the Earth constantly, and they play different music and whatnot. So, you know, ambient television is also...
Major Tom.
Major Tom? What?
You know, the David Bowie song.
Oh, yeah, right, okay. I'm also going to phone, because you mentioned Breaking Bad there, but of course, it was a bit strange that you listed that one, because Breaking Bad was a TV show made for the internet, as was the remake of House of Cards. So they're making shows with the express intention of just putting them up on Netflix or wherever. So it's already begun. They're TV shows that aren't made for broadcast on television. They exist. And that'll now be true of BBC Three. The British now have an entire station that will be like Breaking Bad. It's TV just for the internet.
Now I'm thinking about Arrested Development, that the show stopped for a while, but then they decided to another season that was Netflix exclusive.
There's also a BBC show called Ripper Street, which the BBC cancelled for some reason. This was BBC One, I think. Definitely BBC One. That's been brought back by... it's going to be made for an internet audience. I don't know if it's Netflix bought it and are making it, or is it even Amazon are making it? It's something like that. But they've managed to get like the director, the writers, the cast. They've bought everything. They've got it. So it'll come back because they know there's a market for something. The BBC acts, even though it was popular. But then in an age when we read our books on the internet, it's not that surprising that we'd watch our TV on the internet, and it's weird, and that is also comforting to remember, because the BBC sometimes acts stuff for no reason. So if they were ever batshit crazy enough to axe Doctor Who, you bet your ass it would be... I just said ass instead of ass. You bet your ass it would be bought up by someone just to be just an internet show. And that's the future. Okay, so... sorry, Pinge?
It's okay.
You're just agreeing. Okay, I'll go around and get closing thoughts and goodbyes. So, Koki?
I'm just wondering what's going to happen in this epic clash, this legal battle between TV and internet. But objectively, internet is superior, and if left to market forces, will annihilate television. May the hamster of prosperity make it so.
I feel sad for television. It's been a big thing for so long. And Gunderson?
Yeah, we eventually television will probably become like, riding around place. It'll be like the equivalent of, for us, of riding around on horses. It'll just become archaic and unnecessary.
I feel so old now. I'm a child of the television. In the words of Homer Simpson, was it teacher, mother, secret lover, and good night from Pinge.
Yeah, TV is dead, but I won't going to use my telly like movies with fish tanks on.
And on that bombshell, it's good night from me.